there is the current year's growth on this lime tree, which is quite substantial in a short period of time. Bearing in mind it had a difficult winter. The limes are still doing very well, with one or two more on the way, and a flower still that whoops, that's not what I was looking at. There's a flower. Maybe more limes on the way, and here the plastic bag over 2 pots which contain a cutting, 2 cuttings, well, a cutting chopped in 2 from the base of this, which is going off at right angles, so it was unsightly, but hopefully they will root and produce 2 more little lime trees, which anybody's welcome to have. There are 2 green courgettes germinated nicely, and some tithonia there that Julie's growing. I think 1 or 2 of those might end up in Alex's garden. And this is interesting because it's a chilli, and it is called Pretty in Purple Rainbow Chili Pepper. Now I sowed these seeds exactly at the same time as another variety which is now in the greenhouse, and they're up and potted up. This is, I think they might be just can't get it to focus, but I think there is a little shoot there coming. Why doesn't it focus? Oh well. There you go. It looks like there is a tiny shoot coming on there. Let's have a look outside. It's not a lot to report, but they are small things, and even though they're small, they're quite amazing really. Now what I thought I'd do today was take the fleece off the kiwi fruit and let you have a look at what was underneath here. Here we go. Oops, another peg there. So you can see underneath here that the shoots are doing amazingly well. Everything is recovered, but as you can see, there are no flowers, which means no fruit. I think these poor dead ones are going to be the flower shoots. Don't know why this thing won't focus. I'm gonna have to get myself a camera, I think. Hopeless. Never mind. But that's evidence of the benefits of the fleece going over it. Here you can see the grapevine and these buds here. Are where the flowers are going to come, and hopefully some grapes. This thing won't focus very well. Now here, this poor old pear has got some pear blister leaf mite, and probably some aphids on it as well. Might have to give that a spray with some soap solution later. Oh, got company. And cherry blossom difficult to see whether any fruit is setting on it. Looks as though there are some swellings behind the flowers, but it's a bit early to tell. But here on the plum tree, despite my huge disappointment about the way that the pigeons have eaten the flowers, I think that maybe there are some fruit that have set on here. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it's focusing. There's a bit of glare from the sunlight, and there seems to be quite a lot. Well, a few anyway. There's some that haven't set clearly, and some that have up here. Getting it to focus is the problem. But that is very good news, and the pigeons definitely like the water bath. The bird bath, there were about 6 of them in there the other day, and the tadpoles are still thriving in here. They've spread out around the pond a bit, and the waterweed is beginning to get going, so they like getting in amongst that and feeding. I don't know if you can see it, but and in the greenhouse everything is looking pretty good, apart from some of Julie's flowers there with the tomatoes, some kale, so Tithonia, 2 more green courgettes, some cucumbers. It's interesting, these, 1 or 2 of these, like that one there, was a bit droopy because it gets a bit cold at night. Let's have a look. It was 2.4 last night. It doesn't really like, those cucumbers don't really like, it's 23 degrees in here, it being too cold, they get droopy, but they do recover, which is good, because 1 or 2 of these looked a bit droopy and I thought we were going to lose them. But now here are courgettes. These are yellow courgettes. Now if you look at that pot there, you can see it's empty. Now that did have a courgette that looked like that, and looked like that, and looked like that, and there you can see some little critter has been eating, and in fact ate the whole of the plant, so there's nothing left there. But see, these are all cucumbers, gherkins, green cucumbers that will grow outside, that Steph and Emma and Jan are waiting for, I think. But I've made up some, I know it's not what it says on the bottle, but it is garlic fluid. It really smells garlic, can't show you on the video, but it does smell of garlic, and apparently it keeps the slugs away. You spray it on the leaves, it dries on the leaves, and the slugs don't like it, so hopefully that will work. there are some radish coming up, and the interesting thing with this is if you look in amongst the radish, there you can see leaves, pointed leaves, which are obviously not radish, and that is tomatoes that have fallen from last year's crop have reseeded themselves. And the interesting thing about that is that I spend hours and hours and hours taking up space in my conservatory with tomatoes, producing little tomato seedlings like this. Hopefully they'll grow into lovely tomato plants, and yet in the greenhouse, in the cold greenhouse, last year's tomato seeds grow without any trouble whatsoever. And lastly, just coming up here, it's mint. I didn't plant mint in here, it's out there, but underneath, outside the greenhouse, but underneath the ground in the winter, the roots have been growing and have got inside the greenhouse, and now mint is growing inside the greenhouse. Some things are very vigorous. And one last thing to show you is this. It's called Everlasting Cabbage. A friend of mine gave it to me who lives in Somerset, and it's just cabbage leaves basically. So what you do, you put it in the ground, it grows big and tall. I think I showed you some at the allotment. I had one here, I hoed it, broke it, very sad. So I put the broken bit into a pot in the hope that it would root, and there at the bottom are roots. So hopefully that'll be okay. It'll only taken a couple of weeks for that to grow. Small things. Now there's sunflower seeds that are growing to 8 to 10 foot sunflowers, so they're small things, but they won't be for long, hopefully. Oh, and the last thing, I keep forgetting, this is the other chili with a pointed leaf there that I sowed at the same time as the other pot in there that hasn't got anything showing apart from maybe a tiny little shoot, and this one's called Dragon's Tongue. And we'll look at the difference. Some things, it was obviously suited, the conditions suited this one better than the other one, but it'll catch up, it'll be good.